Have you noticed people cutting conversations short with you, or friends slowly distancing themselves without any clear explanation? Today, I'm revealing 13 specific habits you might be doing right now that push people away, and the simple fixes that can restore your relationship starting today. And habit number 11 is something 8 out of 10 seniors do daily without realizing it's the main reason younger family members avoid visiting. Helen, a 68-year-old from Michigan, couldn't understand why her son stopped calling weekly. After honest feedback from her sister, she discovered 3 small habits that were driving everyone away. Within 2 weeks of changing them, her entire social life completely transformed. Habit 1. Repeating the same stories over and over. Are you telling the same stories to the same people without realizing it? This might feel harmless to you, but research from Johns Hopkins University reveals that repetitive storytelling is the #1 complaint adult children have about spending time with their aging parents. When you repeat stories, people start to feel like you're not truly present in the conversation or interested in creating new memories with them. They begin to dread interactions because they know exactly what's coming. Think about Thomas from Arizona, who tells his fishing story at every single family gathering. His children now exchange knowing glances when he starts, and his teenage grandchildren find excuses to leave the room. Thomas doesn't realize that every repeated story makes his family feel less valued and less heard. The repetition suggests you're living in the past rather than engaging with the present moment and the people right in front of you. The solution is surprisingly simple and takes almost no effort. Keep a small notebook or use your phone to jot down which stories you've shared and with whom. Before launching into a familiar tale, ask yourself if you've told this particular person before. Better yet, focus on asking questions about their lives instead of defaulting to your own stories. Make it your mission to learn something new about the person you're talking to, rather than rehashing old memories. Start tracking your conversations today before your next family gathering. This one change can dramatically improve how people respond to spending time with you. Habit 2. Complaining constantly without solutions. Do most of your conversations revolve around what's wrong rather than what's going right in your life? Studies conducted at Harvard Medical School show that chronic complaining actually rewires your brain for negativity and actively repels social connections. When every phone call or visit becomes a litany of complaints about your health, the weather, politics, or your neighbors, people start associating you with negativity. They begin to feel emotionally drained after spending time with you. Consider Brenda from Florida, who starts every conversation with complaints about her arthritis, then moves to her disappointment with her church, and finishes with criticism of how young people behave today. Her longtime friends have started screening her calls because talking to her feels exhausting rather than enjoyable. Brenda wonders why people seem distant, never connecting her constant negativity to their withdrawal. Here's a practical rule you can implement immediately. Follow the 3-to-1 principle. For every complaint you voice, share 3 positive observations or express 3 things you're grateful for. This doesn't mean ignoring real problems, but it means balancing your perspective. If you need to vent about something genuinely difficult, do it briefly and then actively shift the conversation to something more constructive or pleasant. Make this change in your very next conversation and watch how people's energy toward you begins to shift within days. Habit 3. Interrupting and dominating conversations. When someone else is talking, do you find yourself jumping in before they finish their thought? Communication experts at Stanford University confirm that interrupting signals fundamental disrespect and is a major relationship killer at any age. When you interrupt, you're essentially telling the other person that what you have to say is more important than what they're sharing. This habit is especially damaging with younger family members who may already feel that older generations don't take them seriously. Walter from Ohio interrupts his wife Linda mid-sentence almost every single day during their conversations. After years of this pattern, Linda has learned to stop sharing important thoughts and feelings with him. She's become quieter and more withdrawn, and Walter can't understand why their connection feels so distant. The simple act of letting someone finish completely changes the quality of your relationships. The fix requires nothing but conscious attention and self-control. Count to 3 in your head after someone finishes speaking before you respond. This brief pause ensures they're truly done and gives you time to thoughtfully consider what they said. If you catch yourself about to interrupt, physically bite your tongue or press your lips together as a reminder. Practice active listening by maintaining eye contact and nodding to show engagement without words. Practice this technique starting with your next conversation today and notice how much more people open up to you. Habit 4. Giving unsolicited advice. Constantly. Do you immediately offer solutions when people share problems with you, even when they haven't asked for your input? Psychological research from the Mayo Clinic demonstrates that unsolicited advice makes people feel judged, dismissed, and less likely to confide in you again. When someone shares a struggle, they're often looking for empathy and understanding, not a lecture or instructions. Your well-meaning advice can come across as implying they're not capable of figuring things out themselves. Joyce from Pennsylvania jumps in with advice every time her daughter mentions any challenge at work. Her daughter has completely stopped sharing professional struggles because conversations always turn into Joyce explaining what she should do differently. Joyce feels hurt that her daughter doesn't confide in her anymore, never realizing her constant advice-giving created the distance. Here's a game-changing question to ask before responding to someone's problem. Do you want advice, or do you just need someone to listen? This simple question shows respect for their autonomy and gives them control over the conversation. Most of the time, people just want to feel heard and validated. If they do want advice, they'll specifically ask for it, and then your wisdom will be welcomed rather than resented. Use this question in your next meaningful conversation and watch the relief on the other person's face. Habit 5. Being overly critical or judgmental. Do you frequently point out what others are doing wrong or how they could be doing things better? Studies from the American Psychological Association show that critical behavior damages relationships faster than almost any other communication pattern. When you regularly criticize choices about careers, relationships, parenting styles, or personal appearance, people learn to share less and less of their lives with you. They start editing themselves around you, which destroys authentic connection. Raymond from Texas constantly criticizes his grandson's decision to become a teacher instead of pursuing a higher-paying career. He comments on the young man's casual clothing style and questions his life choices at every opportunity. The grandson now visits only on major holidays and keeps conversations superficial and brief. Raymond complains about the lack of closeness, never connecting his critical comments to his grandson's withdrawal. Implement the 24-hour rule immediately to break this destructive pattern. When you feel the urge to criticize or judge someone's choice, wait a full day before voicing it. Write it down if you must, but don't say it out loud. After 24 hours, you'll often realize the criticism wasn't necessary or helpful. If you still feel it needs to be said, phrase it as a question rather than a judgment. Have you considered, instead of, you should. Implement this rule immediately to save strained relationships before they break completely. Habit 6. Poor personal hygiene. Are you skipping regular showers, wearing the same clothes multiple days in a row, or neglecting basic grooming? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention emphasizes that declining hygiene often goes completely unnoticed by the individual, but is immediately and painfully obvious to everyone around them. This is perhaps the most difficult issue for loved ones to address, because it feels so personal and potentially embarrassing. People will distance themselves physically and socially rather than have this uncomfortable conversation with you. After Vincent from Nevada stopped maintaining his daily shower routine and began wearing clothes without washing them regularly, his weekly card game partners started making excuses about why they couldn't host games at his home anymore. Vincent felt confused and hurt by the social rejection, completely unaware that his declining hygiene was the reason. Nobody wanted to hurt his feelings by bringing it up directly. Create a simple daily checklist on your phone or a paper calendar that you keep in your bathroom. Include basics like showering, changing clothes, brushing teeth, and any other grooming tasks. Set phone reminders if needed. Lay out clean clothes the night before, so getting dressed is effortless. If mobility issues make hygiene difficult, talk to your doctor about assistive devices or home health services that can help you maintain these essential habits. Establish this routine today because it takes just 15 minutes to change how people perceive and respond to you. Habit 7. Refusing to adapt to technology. Do you resist learning basic technology that could help you stay connected with loved ones? Research from MIT's Age Lab shows that technology resistance creates unnecessary social isolation and genuinely frustrates younger family members who communicate primarily through digital means. When you refuse to learn texting, email, or video calling, you're essentially telling your family that staying connected with them isn't worth the effort of learning something new. They interpret your resistance as lack of interest in their lives. Carolyn from Georgia stubbornly refuses to learn how to send text messages or use email, insisting people should call if they want to talk to her. Her grandchildren rarely reach out because texting is how they communicate with everyone else in their lives. They share photos, updates, and quick check-ins with friends and other family members throughout the day. But Carolyn is completely left out of these moments. She complains about feeling isolated while actively rejecting the tools that would connect her. Choose one single technology skill to master this month and ask a patient family member to teach you in short, 15-minute sessions. Start with something simple like sending text messages or looking at photos on your phone. Don't try to learn everything at once. Write down the steps if that helps you remember. Practice daily, even if it's just sending a simple good morning text to someone. Pick up your phone right now and ask someone to teach you one new skill this week before this barrier grows any larger. Habit 8. Always talking about your health problems. Does every conversation eventually circle back to your medical issues, doctor appointments, or physical complaints? Gerontologists at UCLA found that constant health talk is the second most common reason people avoid spending time with elderly relatives. While your health concerns are real and valid, making them the central topic of every interaction defines you by your illnesses rather than your personality, interests, and the unique person you are. People want to connect with you, not just hear medical updates. Every time Russell from Illinois calls his children, he spends the first 20 minutes detailing every ache, pain, doctor visit, and medication change. His kids have started letting calls go to voicemail because they feel overwhelmed and helpless. They want to know how their father is doing, but they also want to talk about other things and maintain a relationship that isn't centered entirely on decline and illness. Limit health updates to 2 sentences maximum unless someone specifically asks for more details. Try something like, "My back is acting up a bit, but I'm managing fine. Now tell me what's new with you." Then genuinely listen to their answer and ask follow-up questions. Keep a list of other topics you want to discuss, books you're reading, shows you're watching, questions about their lives. So you have conversation material ready that doesn't revolve around your body. In your next conversation, catch yourself after mentioning health once and deliberately shift the topic to anything else. Habit 9. Being inflexible and rigid. Do you insist that things must be done your way or refuse to consider trying new experiences? Psychology. Today reports that inflexibility signals closed-mindedness and makes you genuinely difficult to spend time with for people of all ages. When you demand always eating at the same restaurant, sitting in the same spot, following the same routines, or refusing to consider alternatives, you make every interaction feel like a negotiation. People start excluding you from plans because accommodating your rigid preferences feels exhausting. Gregory from California insists on eating dinner at exactly 5:30 every evening at the same diner and ordering the same meal. When friends invite him to try new restaurants or eat at different times, he refuses and lectures them about his routines. His friends have stopped inviting him to social meals entirely because his inflexibility makes group activities impossible. Gregory eats alone most nights now, wondering why everyone has abandoned him. Challenge yourself to say yes to one new experience every single week, even if it pushes you slightly outside your comfort zone. Try a new restaurant, watch a movie genre you usually avoid, or visit a place you've never been. Start small, maybe just ordering something different from your usual menu choice. The goal isn't to abandon all routines, but to show others you're still open to life and willing to be flexible for the sake of connection. When the next invitation comes your way, accept it immediately and break this limiting pattern today. Habit 10. Forgetting names and details. People share. Do you repeatedly forget information people tell you about their lives, their children's names, or important events they've mentioned? Memory researchers at Northwestern University confirm that consistently forgetting personal details makes people feel unimportant and unvalued, which damages relationships more deeply than almost any other behavior. When someone tells you their grandchild's name or mentions an upcoming job interview and you forget it by the next conversation, it signals that you don't truly care about their life. Diane from Wisconsin forgets her neighbor's grandchildren's names every single time, despite being told at least once a month. She asks the same questions repeatedly about details her neighbor has already shared. The neighbor has stopped sharing family updates because it's clear Diane isn't retaining anything, which makes the neighbor feel like her life doesn't matter to Diane. Write down important details immediately after conversations in a small notebook you keep by your phone or in your purse. Include names, upcoming events, health concerns people mention, or anything significant they share. Review these notes briefly before your next interaction with that person. This isn't cheating, it's showing you care enough to remember. You can also repeat new information back during the conversation to help cement it in your memory. Start this practice today because it demonstrates care and strengthens every single relationship in your life. Habit 11. Being chronically late or cancelling last minute. Do you frequently run late to appointments and social gatherings or cancel plans without much advance notice? Time management experts and relationship counselors agree that chronic lateness communicates fundamental disrespect for other people's time and is a major social irritant that builds resentment over time. When you're consistently late or cancel at the last minute, you're essentially saying your time is more valuable than theirs. People stop making plans with you because they can't rely on you. Howard from North Carolina regularly shows up 30 to 45 minutes late to lunch dates with friends and cancels dinner plans just hours before the scheduled time. His friends have completely stopped inviting him to group activities because his unreliability disrupts everyone's schedules. Howard feels lonely and excluded, never recognizing that his pattern of lateness and cancellations caused people to give up on including him. Set alarms on your phone for 30 minutes before every commitment so you have time to prepare and travel. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself about how long tasks actually take. Only make plans you're 90% certain you can keep. It's better to decline initially than to cancel later. If you must cancel, do it as far in advance as possible and always suggest a specific alternative date to show you value the relationship. Review your calendar right now and confirm you can honor all upcoming commitments or reschedule them immediately. Habit 12. talking too loudly or too much? Do you dominate conversations or fail to notice when others are trying to speak? Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that excessive talking and loud volume actively drive social avoidance, especially in group settings where multiple people want to participate. When you monopolize conversations or speak so loudly that you overpower everyone else, people start avoiding situations where they'll be trapped listening to you. They feel unheard and unimportant in your presence. Dennis from Oregon talks so continuously and loudly at his book club that 3 members quietly quit without explanation. He doesn't pause to let others share their thoughts about the books, and his volume makes it impossible for quieter members to interject. The remaining members have started meeting informally without him, and Dennis feels hurt and confused about being left out. Practice the 50-50 rule religiously in every conversation. You should speak no more than half the time, and the other person should speak at least half. Set a mental timer and monitor yourself. Ask questions and then truly listen to the complete answers without interrupting. If you're in a group, make sure everyone has spoken before you take a second turn. Regarding volume, ask a trusted friend or family member to give you an honest assessment and a subtle signal if you're speaking too loudly. Monitor yourself in your next conversation and make this adjustment immediately. Habit 13, bringing up sensitive or inappropriate topics. Do you discuss controversial politics, divisive religious views, or deeply personal matters in inappropriate settings? Social psychology research from Yale University shows that bringing up sensitive topics at the wrong times creates intense discomfort and causes people to avoid future interactions with you. When you launch into political rants at family celebrations or question people's personal choices at social gatherings, you poison the atmosphere and make yourself someone to be avoided. Gladys from Virginia brings up divisive political opinions at every family gathering, including her granddaughter's birthday party. She questions relatives' voting choices and criticizes their views loudly and persistently. She's no longer invited to most family events because her presence creates tension and conflict. Gladys feels rejected and bitter, blaming others for being too sensitive rather than recognizing her inappropriate timing. Follow the Ford method for safe, engaging conversation topics: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Ask people about their children or grandchildren, their work or volunteer activities, their hobbies and interests, and their hopes for the future. These topics build connection without creating conflict. Save sensitive discussions for one-on-one conversations with people who specifically want to engage in those topics with you. Use this method at your very next social interaction to rebuild damaged bridges and prevent future problems. The beautiful truth is that every single one of these habits can be changed starting right now, in this moment. Small adjustments in how you interact with others can completely transform your relationships within just a few weeks. Your loved ones genuinely want to be close to you. Now you have the clear roadmap to make that happen. These aren't complex changes requiring years of therapy or massive personality overhauls. They're simple, concrete actions you can implement in your very next conversation. If you recognize yourself in any of these habits, you're absolutely not alone. And the fact that you watch this entire video shows you're ready and willing to change. Leave a comment telling me which specific habit you're committing to fix first, because your insight might help another senior transform their relationships too. Hit that like button if this video opened your eyes to something important, and subscribe so you never miss practical advice designed specifically for our generation. Share this with a friend who might benefit, because sometimes the kindest thing we can do is help each other see our blind spots. Small changes today create the connected, fulfilling relationships you deserve tomorrow.